Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Duvall, and this is Sedona.biz News. Today, we're sitting here with Sedona Mayor Rob Adams, who wanted to come in here and chat. I invited him, and he graciously accepted my invitation to come in and talk about commissions. Pretty hot issue in June, July, and in August. Town was pretty concerned one way or the other. Should we keep the commission? Should we not? Should we do something in between? And at the council meeting on Thursday, August 15th, there was a special session of the Sedona City Council where the commission's issue was on the agenda to take or not take some action. And somewhere towards the end of the meeting, Mayor Adams decided to leave the meeting. So tell us a little bit about that. Would you, Rob, please? What was going on?
I'm just going to make it simple. It was a protest. I have sat through and facilitated hundreds of meetings since I've been on the city council. I'm in my 8th year now. And, I have always stayed there, debated the issue, and, moved on. In this particular one, this was an issue that I believe was very poorly handled by the city. And the outcome, I was just basically completely opposed to the outcome. And so I thought that my only option at that point to show how I felt about it was to leave the meeting. I do want to predicate that by saying that I was involved with that meeting and facilitated that meeting for 4 hours and debated the issue and made my vote and voted my conscience prior to leaving the room.
Some people said that you left the room in order to move the vote one way or the other. Was that in your motive?
No, the vote was already made. The outcome was predetermined from that vote. And the vote that I participated in was whether the City Council was going to support the staff plan for citizen engagement. When the City Council voted to support the staff plan, and I voted against that, then the staff plan included dissolving the commissions. So at that point, the decision was made in terms of the future of the commissions.
Some say that the staff runs the city. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think that the council takes what the staff has to say very seriously in the consideration. In terms of running the city, I think that it's a partnership between the council and the staff.
So the staff takes its direction from the council, but the staff is actually the group that implements whatever the council says or mandates.
Yeah, staff implements, and also oftentimes they make recommendations. And so those recommendations, again, are taken very seriously by the council. In this particular case involving the commissions, the staff recommended that the commissions be disbanded, and I think that had a large that was a large part of the consideration on several of the council members.
That was a pretty major step to take. The staff says just everybody out of the pool. We're going to start from scratch again. What do you say to that?
Well, I was shocked, and I think that in your film that evening I expressed that shock and that disappointment that was the decision. My feeling is that what we should do would be to have the retention of the commissions on the table with the other citizen engagement opportunities that staff was presenting. To take it off the table wasn't looking at all of the options. And so I think that when we make decisions, we need to look at all the options, not just some of them. Yeah. Originally, the idea was, when we had this discussion back in 2012 at the council retreat when the new council was seated, was there are issues in terms of the effectiveness and efficiency of the commission structure. There are problems with communication between staff and the commissions and council that need to be addressed. We need to look at how we can make the whole structure more efficient and effective. And so that was the discussion that I thought we were going to have, and I was completely kind of taken aback by the idea that the answer was we were going to dissolve the commissions.
Right. So in this particular case, the staff really was making that decision. Their recommendation was to everybody out of the pool again, and not listening to the council and finding
Well,
a middle
no.
ground on
They
that.
were listening to the council. That was the staff recommendation prior to the council discussion. You know, and staff makes recommendations on all kinds of things that we take into account. They're professionals. So, you know, again, we take their recommendation very seriously. In this particular case, I felt as though the recommendation was inappropriate because this is a political issue. The commissions serve at the pleasure of the council. And so my recommendation to the staff before this was put on the agenda was don't make a recommendation. You know, lay out the options and let the council decide how we're going to handle this.
That makes sense.
I thought so. Yeah.
So there was no compromise with staff. They just said, we're done. Were they angry at the commissioners or what? Why were they so obstinate? I use that word obstinate, but it seemed like a pretty harsh move to recommend.
Well, anything that I say about that would be, without staff's mentality on the issue. I think that there is and has been some frustration with the commissions because of the time that the staff time and the resources that are taken with the commissions. There's certainly been some disagreements with the commission's recommendations to the council as far as staff is concerned. So those were the kinds of things that we were supposed to be addressing. So why don't we look at where those problems are and then address them and see if we can improve the structure to where they work more efficiently and effectively.
I have to agree with that myself personally, that seems like that would have been the most genuine way of treating the situation. If the situation wasn't working with the commissions, then find a way to make it work.
Right. Or, you know, if we had that discussion, and that's all I wanted, let's have the discussion. If we cannot find a way to improve the structure, then we might consider the dissolution of the commissions. Yeah. But we didn't even have that discussion. That's what concerned me. I just want to make the point that, you know, I don't want to rake up the muck again and cause, you know, more animosity in the community. Mm-hmm. But I do feel as though it's important in particular to address the editorial that Red Rock News came out with, bashing me about walking out of the council meeting. You know, that editorial made it appear as though I didn't even stay for a vote. I basically came to the meeting, stood up, and walked out. You know, again, I was involved with that debate for 4 hours. I voted my conscience. I did my duty. And for the first time since I've been on city council, I just found that the whole outcome was so distasteful and so against my principles that I felt as though I needed to protest.
So where do we go now? Where does it go now? Is it a dead issue? Is the city entertaining new commissions? Are all the commissions dead?
Well, the commissions that survived are the Historic Preservation Commission, and that was kind of a state mandate, and also the Planning and Zoning, which is also a state mandate. The other commissions will be dissolved.
Like the Finance Committee?
Yes.
And Arts and Culture?
Correct.
The big guys?
Yes.
Those are probably two of the biggest ones?
Yes. And as you know, in the audience may remember, I brought the Budget Oversight Commission forward as a mayor's committee. First I approached council to have a council committee. That was turned down, and so I brought it forward as a mayor's committee, as a budget oversight commission originally, and then that particular council dissolved that committee along with the sustainability committee that I had put together. So the next council officially ratified those commissions, and now they're dissolved again. So I certainly can't blame people for feeling some resentment about the way they've been treated.
Sort of a love-hate situation.
Well, it's just unnecessary. The whole thing was unnecessary, and I think that the message that we sent out there is really a sad one.
I've also heard people say that Tim Ernster's been the henchman in this particular situation. What role did Tim play in all of this?
Well, Tim is the city manager, so he has to make a decision whether he's going to support something on the agenda or not, and that's his decision. I don't want to call anybody a henchman. I don't want to point a finger at anybody. I just felt as though this could have been done in a much better way, where the outcome was people coming together, discussing what the problems with the commissions are, and hopefully agreeing on the outcome. Instead, there were a group of people that were eliminated from the process.
Yeah, and some of those people have said that this process polarized the city a little bit, took the citizens out of the process of governance and put it in the hands of the city, and excluded any kind of input from the people.
Well, I don't think anybody could disagree with the fact that there's been polarization that's happened here. There's some very hard feelings that are going on. I intend to do everything that I can to help hold the staff's feet to the fire to create a good citizen engagement program, whatever that is. I need to move past this. The die has been cast. I made my protest vote and my motion and my movement from leaving the meeting. So at this point, I just need to move on. We need to try to bring people together and figure out how we can create a new citizen engagement program that will bring people to the table to, again, participate in the future of the city.
So the commissions are not being reformulated, but the concept of citizen engagement is still on the table. It's just a matter of how it's put together?
Right. Some of the things that have been offered up as possible citizen engagement, it would include work groups, that would be formed for the purpose of a specific project and then disbanded after that was done. We've done that. That's all well and good. Those work well. But there's no continuity in those work groups for, the furtherance of arts and culture or sustainability and that type of thing. And the continuity is what I really supported.
Yeah. I have to agree with you that being a task-oriented group has its upsides, but no continuity has its downside.
Right.
So I guess only time will tell.
Yeah. So let's see where it goes. Again, I would encourage everybody to, try to get past this. I know there's hard feelings out there. Some people probably won't come back to the table. But, ultimately what we all love is our community. And we need to just move past these disagreements and really just come back to the table and work on behalf of our community.
Good. Anything more that you'd like to add, Rob?
No, I just, it's unfortunate that these things come up. And one thing that I do want to point out is that these are very politically sensitive issues. The funding of the grant funding that we looked at, the funding of the service organizations was a problem. The commissions, the lights issue, all these kinds of things are very volatile politically. Revenue generation, whatever form that may come up with, taxes, all that is very difficult. And one thing that I do appreciate about this particular council is we've taken on some very tough issues. And that's what you need to do. You don't avoid them because they're difficult politically and you might be unpopular. You take them on. But the process of taking these things on needs to be very thoroughly considered so that there's a positive outcome eventually. Not everybody's going to agree with your decision, but I think that ultimately people will understand that your decision was made on behalf of the good of the whole.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming by today. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Look forward to doing more of these.
So, well, I do too. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first of hopefully many interviews and chats we have with Mayor Adams, and we'll be presenting these along the way as time moves forward. Hopefully every 2 weeks. That's what we're pushing for. So we'll see if we can make that happen.
Good.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. See you soon.